All right. Thank you guys so much for coming on tonight for the preseason webinar for flag football. Wanted to be the first screen that you saw. These are the divisions that we have for this weekend. The order does not mean anything, just so you know. They're just put in there. It doesn't mean first, second, third, anything like that. But these are the divisions that we're going to go with for Saturday's flag football state championship. All right, so welcome. As you know, my name is Melissa Anger. I'm your flag football staff lead. Don Yakel will be our competition director for this year. You guys all know Don. He is a former coach of, Howard County. So he's making the transition into our competition director. So we're very grateful for him stepping into that role for us. Tonight, we're going to go through some COVID protocols, just reminders for everyone, talk about the different entries, the schedule, rule reminders, all that fun stuff for this coming Saturday. And I'm going to pass it on to Steve to talk about the COVID protocols.
Thank you, Melissa. And just one clarification. I know it doesn't probably need to happen, but for recording purposes, this is the pre-competition webinar, not the preseason.
Oh, sorry.
No, that's good. We've had a lot of webinars. So yeah, again, as Anger said, thanks everyone for joining this evening leading up to this weekend. Do want to give you some information regarding COVID and the protocols that will be in place. Special Mix Maryland continues to monitor the situation, working with our international office, other health organizations, etc. So basically with flag football, you guys should all be aware by now that the team competition vaccinations are required for coaches, athletes, partners, etc. For the individual skills portion of flag football, it is not a requirement. So get those two things out of the way real quick. And then as we continue to monitor things as they progress, there will be two basic scenarios that will most likely be in play this weekend. And we'll talk about those in just a second. But regardless of the scenario that we find ourselves in, there are two things that will need to occur regardless. So first is that the athletes, whoever brings the athletes or partners or whoever to the competition venue will go through a check-in process. And at that check-in process is where the coaches will then meet those athletes and partners and go to the delegation seating area, and the spectators, family members, etc., the non-credentialed, non-registered individuals for a delegation. Basically, again, those are spectators and family members just there to cheer on the athletes. They will need to be separated throughout the entire day. So once the athletes and everybody gets checked in, then there's the separation all the way through the awards process and ceremonies, and until those athletes or partners or whoever are walking to their car. So just want to make sure that those two things are very clear. And we'll talk about a little bit more of those details in just a second. But again, we will have a check-in area for the coaches to meet the athletes and then go to the delegation area. And then the spectators will go to their designated area as well.
And one thing just to add real quick, the flag football teams will check in at the control center. Individual skills must stay separate from the teams at all time. They cannot go onto the team fields, and we'll talk about that later as well. But they had to stay separate from the teams as well.
So the two scenarios, the first one is low risk. And what that, to get into that category, basically it's 80% of all participants have shown and submitted their proof of full vaccination. And we say participants, that's anybody who's serving in any capacity at that venue other than spectators. So as you see there, that includes the athletes, the partners, the coaches, the general volunteers, the management, the staff. Everybody goes into that equation. So again, I appreciate those of you who were able to send in the vaccination cards for everybody in your programs. And powerlifting is also in this same scenario. they are required to have 100% vaccination as well. So it's flag football team and powerlifting. So we feel very confident that flag football team competition will be in the low risk category, given the fact that you have to be vaccinated in order to participate, as well as we have told the volunteers from the Mount that only vaccinated individuals, fully vaccinated individuals can come and volunteer at this venue. So if we are in that scenario, which we most likely will be for flag football, we will not have to do screening at check-in, verbal or the temperature check. We will still have to do social distancing, except in the cases when the athletes and teams are out competing. Masking, just as an FYI, you guys probably won't have any reason to go inside to any buildings, but just as an FYI, anyone entering a building at the university must wear a mask at all times. Again, with one exception, is when the powerlifters are actually warming up or competing on the competition platform. That's more of an FYI. So there's not a requirement for individuals to wear masks when we are 100% vaccinated. However, there's nothing saying they can't. It's their choice. And again, we talked about the separation of families and spectators. Again, that's non-registered members watching the event. They will need to be separated, as we talked about earlier, at minimum of 50 feet from anyone throughout the whole day. So, we can work through that. But again, there will be designated seating areas. And for powerlifting, again, in the side of the building, it'll be in the upper bleachers. Out on the fields and other places, there will be designated signs for a spectator area. So we're really looking for you guys to help us communicate this to the parents and family members. As with our previous events, we've been operating this way since summer games. So it's nothing new, but obviously there may be some individuals who have not gone through this process before, and to eliminate some of the frustrations and challenges that we've had with very few family members, but some, we really look for your help to help inform them of this situation. So that's about it there. The other thing I will say, as we've indicated with powerlifting, not all venues will be operating in the same protocols, given the fact of the vaccination rate, et cetera. So if you think about it, we will be operating somewhat independently as competition venues during the Fall Sports Fest. So flag football, regardless of skills or team competition, will not have an impact on tennis, vice versa, et cetera. So just want to make sure we're clear there.
I have a quick question. Hopefully a quick question. This is Jay in Washington County.
Hey, Jay.
You had said there is no reason to go inside the building. Is there going to be a place for the people to put on their uniforms? They usually use the bathrooms to change into their uniforms.
I would say at this point, probably not. But is that something you feel that you could have the athletes and partners come ready in their uniforms and arrive in their uniforms, or is that something you distribute on site?
That's something that I usually distribute on site because of the possibility of the athlete or their family member or their care provider forgetting to pack the uniforms or forgetting to pack something or whatever. If I have everything all put together and ready to go and give them the bag at the venue, then they go in the bathroom and change. Then there's less chance for forgetting parts of the uniform or missing part of the uniform.
Sure. Be honest, I haven't given that much thought, and my apologies to that. Don't have an answer tonight, but when we send out the webinar slides, we'll try to address that by tomorrow when we send out the slides, but we'll try to figure something out for you. The challenge is if you go inside, again, if it's teams, not a big deal. If it's the individual skills athletes, that may be more of a challenge if they're not vaccinated, which I think we have a few that maybe are not vaccinated for individual skills. So let me give some thought to that, Jay.
His team, he's part of the teams. He doesn't have any skills, so they are fully vaccinated.
Yeah, but I think there may be some other programs and other coaches who may be in that similar situation, given the fact of Jay, I totally get it, saying, hey, I'm not going to give you guys out the uniforms, and then you forget to bring them on.
Yeah, that happened actually a couple of years ago, and we had to double back and actually go get the person's uniform, and it was basically a disaster. So
Yep, understand. Good coaching there. Good take control of the situation. So we'll get back to you guys and let you know what we can come up with on that. Thank you, though.
Steve, I just have a question real quick, almost in the same vein. Are there going to be restroom facilities outside?
Yeah, we will have similar porta johns that we've had in the past, some down by the far parking lot and then some up near the pavilion. And we're looking at how we can disperse those so that there are eliminating most of the risk, if you will, as far as spectators and athletes intermixing at those locations. So there will be restrooms outside, yes.
So if a parent wants to go in to the not arena to go to the restroom and not at a spot, they'll have to wear a mask, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And they will be required to wear a mask, and they would be asked to go to the upstairs location in the not arena, not on the gym floor level.
All right.
Yeah. Thanks, George. Okay. We can go on to the next scenario here. And this is, again, for
We don't have a next scenario
we
because
have one
everyone's
because we're
vaccinated.
vaccinated. Yep. Sounds good.
All right, so this year we have 11 high-level individual skills athletes, which is really amazing. This is the first year we've had individual skills since I've been on staff. So we are using the high-level skills that were created last year during COVID. And like I said, we have 11 athletes ranging in ages from 8 to 43. So we have a nice big range, but really cool that we have skills this year. We have 7 traditional teams and 3 unified teams. So it's about 6 teams less than we had in 2019, but I'm just happy we have 10. I think that's pretty good for the situation that we are in. So the overall event schedule, again, this is tentative, but pretty good with it. 8:30, we will have team registration. You will check in at the big tent. It's a big 20 by 60 tent down on the field. You cannot miss it. Have your athletes and partners meet you down there on the field. And as Steve mentioned, the spectators must stay at the top of the hill. You'll see a map in a minute. At all times. If a family member comes down to the field, they will be told that they have to go back up at the top of the hill. We're going to do a very quick venue opening at 9:30. Very quick, just literally probably the oath and maybe one other thing, welcome. But we're going to make it very quick and just go into the games. The games will start at 10 a.m. And go till about 2 or 3. So quick day, but it'll be a good day. At 9:45, we'll have the individual skills check-in and registration. Individual skills will not start until 11 a.m. So that is a little bit later, but we wanted to stagger it out a little bit so that not everyone was checking in at one time. Awards will be given on the field for teams after they're able to get the award. And individual skills will be up with long distance running. That's where they'll get their awards. And again, I'll show you a map in a minute. But the individual skills will get their awards where we've gotten them in the past. So up at the pavilion with long distance running. So just an overall map of Mount St. Mary's. Nothing has really changed too much. You can see down here in the bottom right-hand corner where we have the team competition. The back field that's usually open where teams can kind of just hang out and stuff, that's where the individual skills competition is going to be. So just be aware of that so that your teams aren't hanging out there or practicing, warming up, stuff like that. We want to keep that clear for the individual skills. Sorry. Once individual skills is complete, teams can have access to that field, but we want to make sure the skills has that field before anything else. A little more of the flag football venue. We're still working on the seating right here, just to double check. But as you can see, we have fields 1, 2, and 3, as in the past. We were going to have the control center for flag football, which is that big 20 by 60 tent that I was talking about, where lunches will be given as well. There'll be tables under there to for the athletes and teams to eat lunch down there if they'd like. As mentioned, this backfield is going to be for individual skills, and the spectators for the individual skills must stay back by the track. We'll have it marked off where they have to stay behind. It's going to be, the minimum 50 feet away from all the individual skill stations so that we keep the distance and the protocol in place. Biggest thing on this one is the spectators must stay at the top of the hill. So this is right here, and here is kind of like a hill. Spectators cannot come down to the field level. They must stay at the top of the hill at all times. If anyone's down there, they will be told they have to get back up. Even if they're vaccinated, if they're not a full delegation member, they will not be allowed down on the field level. Another big thing, please talk to your families about this. Typically we have some people parking down here it's like the garage and stuff like that. There will be no parking down there. Everyone must park in the parking lot up here and walk down. There will be no parking down here by the garages and by the track. We will have it marked off right here with cones. And if anyone parks down there, they will be told that they have to move their car. 0 parking down there this year. Seating, just reiterating what has already been said a couple times, but it's very, very important that you tell your families about this. Please share all of this information with your families, as it is extremely important that they understand this. Family spectators, as always, must always always stay at the top of the hill overlooking the flag football fields, as I just mentioned. Delegations must always stay on the field level. There's no intermingling between games. They must stay separated at all times. Spectators must stay a minimum of 50 feet away from the athletes and partners as they receive their awards until they are walking back to the cars. Once they get their awards and they have their stuff and they're walking back to the car, that's fine. Individual skills, the spectators must stay beyond the individual skills area. We will have that marked off for the skills families and spectators with some red tape. So make sure they stay behind those lines. Steve, I'm gonna pass this back to you.
Yeah, so we'll talk about some general information here. One thing I did not mention during the protocol statements with COVID, et cetera, is really extremely important for you as coaches to coordinate and communicate with your family members about when they're going to check in. I say that due to the fact that at several other locations and other events that we've had, there have been challenges because the families didn't know that communication, or the coaches didn't talk with their family members. And we've had situations where the coaches weren't there yet and the athletes and families needed to stay away until that coach arrives. So we ask you as coaches to get there early so that you can meet your athletes and partners as they arrive. So we don't have to say, hey, coach isn't here. You need to stay back over in that area and wait for another 15, 20, 30 minutes, whatever it is. So just communicate that and coordinate that with your family members. Food services, no big change from previous years. Again, thank you to everyone for getting in your submissions for your orders. Those have been submitted to the university. They're working on getting all their boxes and everything together. So it says be delivered between 11 and 12:30. That does not mean at 11 o'clock you start pestering Don Yakel or Melissa Anger saying, hey, lunches are supposed to be here at 11. Between that window is when we anticipate the lunches will be delivered. Again, every delegation and or every team will have their own box of meals delivered to the venue. And the venue director, Don or Melissa, either one will inform you of when they're coming and once they've arrived to let you know. Again, the families and spectators, it's just 100% needed to separate, to be able to have these competitions. There are other state programs due to COVID, et cetera, who have gone to the extreme measures of not having competitions or only having competitions at the local level, or if there's any other competitions, allowing no spectators at all. So we've been able to do this with your all's help and the area leadership and making sure our protocols are followed. So again, it's not an ideal situation, but it is the best we can do given the circumstances in order to provide a good opportunity for the athletes, partners, and yourselves to have some great competition opportunities. So just look for your support there.
All right, so I'm going to go through these pretty quickly. I'm not going to read them all. They're pretty much same as in the past. We will have 2 20-minute halves with a 5-minute halftime. Every team gets 1 timeout per half. It does not carry over. So if you don't use it in the first half, you do not get 2 in the second half. 1 per half, use it or lose it. It will be a running clock except for the final minute of each half. I know in the qualifiers and the league days, we haven't stopped the clock. For Fall Fest, we will stop the clock in the last minute. So that will happen, but it will be a running clock for the first 19 minutes.
Is that on each play in the final minute? No matter what kind of play, it'll stop right at the end of the play?
I have to confirm that. Let me double check in the rule book. I believe Don, correct. Go ahead, Don.
It stops on all dead balls. So like out of bounds, incomplete passes. Those are it'll run on if it's a run play and it's inbound flagpole.
Thank you, Don.
Similar to pro football. Okay.
Yeah. So I thought, but I didn't want to say anything and have it wrong. So thank you, Don, for stepping in. Tie break scenario. Again, not going to go through all this, but if there's a tie in the divisions, this is how we will break that tie. Individual skills. We will have 5 stations: the pass for distance, the target pass, flag pulling, 40-yard dash, and the footwork station. We will have 3 different divisions for individual skills, and they will all start at a separate station, go through each of the stations once. They have been divisioned based off of their scores at the required qualifier. So they'll go through each of the stations once, and then those results from the stations on Saturday, that's how they will be getting their awards. So we're only going to go through 1 round of individual skills for Fall Fest on Saturday. Teams, you must start with a maximum and a minimum of 5 players. You may continue with 4. Unified teams must start or must have at all times 3 Special Olympics athletes and 2 unified partners. If an athlete gets hurt, you can go 2-2, 2 athletes and 2 partners if you don't have any subs. You can never have more unified partners on the field than you have athletes. Max is 3-2. Minimum is 2-2. Okay. Very basic. I mean, we've all seen these and playing by these rules. Partners as quarterbacks cannot pass to another partner. They may hand it off if they're a quarterback. That's fine. And no player shall dominate play. That's unified partner or athlete. And that's any, not just unified play, that's unified or traditional, right? Meaningful involvement. We don't want anyone to dominate play. Equipment, the U-size football will be used in all divisions as always. Please make sure you bring your footballs. A protective mouth guard must be worn at all times. If they are caught on the field without a mouth guard, they will be taken out of the game. Please make sure your athletes have their mouth guards in at all times. As always, a one-piece 3-belt flag must be worn at all times during the game. All these are just quick reminders. I know you guys know all this, but I just want to reinforce it. Uniforms, they all must match. The shorts, shirts, everything must match. They have to, the t-shirts, or I'm sorry, the uniform tops have to be tucked in at all times. I understand they fall out sometimes in the middle of the game. Please just tell your athletes to tuck it back in, so that it's not obstructing the flags. No jewelry at all can be worn. No earrings, no bracelets, no necklaces, no watches. I know everyone wants to wear their Fitbit or their Apple Watch to track their steps and activity. They cannot wear those during games at all. Obviously, no jeans. Shorts have to be athletic shorts at all times. And they cannot have pockets. It's more of a safety concern. When you're going for the flags, we don't want someone's finger getting caught in a pocket going for a flag and something happening to that finger. You can wear rubber cleated cleats or flat-soled athletic shoes. Either is fine. No metal cleats are allowed. With the weather, and we'll go over the weather in a little bit, but if your athletes want to wear something underneath their uniform, so a long sleeve shirt or leggings or long pants under their uniforms, everyone must match. So if someone's wearing gray, then they all have to wear gray. If someone's wearing black, they all have to wear black. Please coordinate that, and please make sure that they match the uniforms. If your uniform is yellow, wearing orange or blue or anything like that is not matching it. Black or white are the best cases to wear. Okay.
Can I ask a quick question?
Sure.
The metal cleats, Baltimore City in one of the qualifiers had a young lady with metal cleats. We talked to the referee and he replied that as long as her cleats were square, they were legal. Is that true?
No metal cleats, period.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, I was not made aware of that. I didn't know. But yeah, no metal cleats, period. If they want to wear cleats, they have to be rubber cleated.
Can I ask a question, a quick question?
Yep.
In reference to, I understand about the same colors and all, but I do have some athletes that get colder than others. If one has, like, let's say long athletic, like spandex, do they all have to wear it, or?
No. Nope. It's just
Okay,
anyone that's
got it.
wearing it must match.
Okay, great, thank you.
I mean, you'll see me in shorts on Saturday. It's just how
Gotcha.
it is. But as long as if they would like to wear it, that's fine. They just have to match with each other. That's all. All right. Again, some general rules. Special Olympics flag football is non-contact. You're not tackling at any points in the game. Some points of emphasis: no team shall repeatedly commit penalties and fouls. You guys know these rules. Don't try to cheat the system. Don't try to repeatedly commit fouls and penalties. It's not okay. Neither team shall act in any which, not really sure what that's supposed to mean. And the opinion of the referee tends, I did not read that sentence, obviously. Not really sure what that's. The officials make the final call. There will be no arguing with the officials. We are going to have officials from the University of Maryland again. We have 6 officials coming. Their calls are finals. Do not come up to myself or Don and say they made a bad call. It's what they saw. It's what's going to stand. We will not change a call unless I mean, we're not going to change a call. We might have a talk with the officials if something with the rules gets mixed up. That's fine. We will not be changing calls. You will not be yelling at the officials. Okay, they are volunteers. They are coming out of the goodness of their heart from the University of Maryland. They have been officiating flag football at University of Maryland, the collegiate level. Their call is fine. Okay. And if I go up to tennis and I come back and I hear people are yelling at the officials, we're going to have some words. That's not okay. We do not yell at the officials. Unsportsmanlike conduct. That's a nice little segue into that. You guys all know it. Make sure your athletes know it. Sportsmanship. Your athletes are not to question the officials. Okay, it's not their responsibility to question the officials. It's not their responsibility to yell at the officials. Okay, that is not okay, and you need to make sure that is stopped if they start doing that. The officials will disqualify any player who participates in a rough or unsportsmanlike conduct, and they have final say. They have say if they're acting unsportsmanlike multiple times and they are warned multiple times, they can get thrown out of games. During player possession, it is illegal for a defensive player to strip or pull the ball from the ball carrier at any time. You're not going for the ball, you're going for the flags. Okay, this is not tackle football. This is flag football. You're going for the flags. Once the flags come off, ball is dead. Okay, ball carriers must make an effort to avoid defenders with an established position. So if I am running downfield and as a defender and I have an established position, you cannot run into me. Okay, that's not okay. That's going to be a penalty. That's unsportsmanlike. It's roughing. It's not okay. The ball carrier may jump to avoid a dangerous contact, but not to avoid flag pulling. If the athlete or partner jumps to avoid flag pulling, it will be considered flag guarding and it will be a penalty. Defenders are not allowed to run through the ball carrier when pulling the flags. These are all common sense. We haven't had any issues, knock on wood, with any of this stuff, but again, just make sure you talk to your athletes and partners about all these. Meaningful involvement. Again, I kind of just talked about this a little bit. We want to make sure everyone has a good experience at Fall Fest and at any competition we offer. So please, this is not just for this does not just go to unified teams. It's also traditional. Any player, not just athlete, partner, any player must have a meaningful involvement. That does not mean putting them in for 1 minute if you're winning by a lot or down by a lot. Everyone should be playing in each game, have a meaningful role in those games. Coach's code of conduct. Again, we've knock on wood, haven't had any issues, but gonna repeat it anyway. Coach's code of conduct: respect for all. Okay, ensure that a positive experience for all. That's your athletes, your partners, the officials, the other team, everyone. Act professionally. There's no excessive yelling. Respect the officials. And I'm going to keep saying this. I'm going to remind you of that at the coaches meeting in the morning of the event. No profanity. Obviously, no alcohol, tobacco, or vape, or drugs used at any of the events. Make sure you have quality service for your athletes. And the biggest thing is health and safety of all the athletes and unified partners should be at the top of the list for everyone. And I'm going through this really fast. I know. If you have any questions, please just let us know. All right. So rain. So I put this in here as of yesterday. It hasn't really changed too much, I believe. Be prepared to compete in the rain. Okay. Unless there is torrential downpour, please make sure your athletes, are ready to play in the rain. If it's really super muddy or dangerous, obviously we will not be playing in the rain or playing in those situations. We will make sure everyone is safe at all times. In the event of thunder or lightning, delegation members will be directed to the pavilion or if necessary up to not arena. If it's just raining and we are just holding play, you will go to your cars. But in an unsafe, if it gets really bad, then you can evacuate into not arena. Steve, correct me if I'm wrong on that, please.
Yeah, just so you guys know, that's more of a major emergency evacuation. If we know there's lightning and stuff coming, and it's not a threat to individuals to walk to their cars and stay in their cars until it clears, that's the first plan of action. But knowing that it's more of a walk to the cars than it is to not arena, again, that's the emergency evacuation plan. But if we have time, the first preference would be to go to cars so we don't have the intermixing with a big group of big numbers of individuals in the not arena.
Thank you. Any decision related to rain delays or cancellation will be made by myself and or Don Yeagle. So we will be making those decisions as early as possible. Looking at the weather now on our paid weather service. Where 0.2 inches of rain, that's nothing. It could be in the middle of the night when we don't even know. We won't have the hourly until for a couple more days, but as of right now, we're a go and we're going to play in the rain as long as it's not a torrential downpour or dangerous situation. Some general information. Results will be posted at the flag football control center and officials tent. As in the past, we'll have it on a big whiteboard. They will be updated as the scores come in. So all the brackets and everything will be filled in as we get the results. Any protest filed at the tent must be made by the head coach within 30 minutes of the posted results, and only head coaches can file protests. Appeals, if you want to appeal the decision, must be filed before leaving the venue in the control center, or email to myself after. Nope, must be done before they leave. Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, the appeals, if the protest is denied and you want to appeal that decision, you can file an appeal, and then the Games Rules Committee, which usually takes about 24 hours to convene to make a ruling. Most of the time that's done the next day or sometimes up to 48 hours later, depending on the members of that Games Rules Committee and when they're able to convene. If any of that happens, and there is a change in the result, we will make that reflective in the website as far as the posting of the results, and inform anybody else of that may be affected by a ruling one way or the other.
Thanks, Steve. As always, we will have medical on site and roving. They might not always be at flag football, but if they're not, they'll be at long distance running and they'll be going back and forth. So we will always have medical on site in case of an injury. All right. So for any questions, obviously, for flag football, you'll contact me as always. And then there's always the coaches resource pages as well. Any questions from you guys about anything that I went over, about anything that maybe I didn't go over that you might have a question about? Now's your time to ask.
I haven't seen any in the chat box, but hey Jay, I think it was you talking about the uniforms and the changing locations. One idea
Yes.
that I would throw out here to think about is when you're communicating with the family members and athletes, partners, whatever, and maybe you meet in the parking lot up by the top and they can change in their car. That would eliminate them from having to go inside, and that would be a good place for you to meet and say, okay, whole team, now we head down to the fields. But a thought and an idea there. We'll still look at any other options, but I'd recommend that one to you to see if that one works.
Okay, thank you.
Sure thing.
Hey Melissa, it's Andy Isbell. For
Andy.
individual, do they have to be at the opening ceremonies or can they be there at
No.
9:30?
Nope, they can be there afterwards. That's fine. 9:45, I think it was check-in, so that's completely fine to be there afterwards. They don't have to be at the
Okay.
opening.
Okay, cool. All right, that's all I got. Thank you.
Yeah, and I think one thing is, I think, Melissa, you want to check the chat for a question that
Yep.
just came in. But, and I was maybe doing another chat, but I think this was mentioned, but there is no overall opening ceremony in the Knott Arena. It's all done just the quick, brief, very, very brief venue opening for flag football. So good stuff there.
Yep. And yes, Brian, they do have to have the same shorts. Doesn't have to be exactly the same pair, but they have to be the same color. And if one is all black, then they all have to be all black. I believe your guys are all navy blue. So they do have to all match.
Hey, Melissa, I have a question.
Yep.
Yeah, so based on the map, you have the skills in the kind of the practice area.
Yep.
Where is there a good spot then that we can practice and spectators are gonna be up on the hill? Can we go to the side of the skills competition, the farther side?
We're not going to be taking up that whole area. So yeah, there should be some room
Okay.
that you'll be able to have to warm up in. Just
Yeah, because there's just not a lot of room in between the
Yeah.
fields.
no,
And,
you're not going to do anything in between the fields, please.
No, I don't think you want, I mean, maybe besides for like some basic stretching, but okay.
Yeah, and like I said, we're not going to be taking up the whole area for skills. We're going to take up a good chunk of it, and just be aware and just be, considerate to the other teams that you're not taking up the whole open space because
We don't
we
need
have
that.
10 teams. So
We don't need that. We don't need that much. It's just, there's a huge field back there that you can practice. That's why.
yep, just find an open spot back there, just keeping away
Okay.
from the spectators, which are going to be on the far side, and keeping your distance from the skills so that they have their room to participate.
Melissa, you don't have a schedule yet? That'll come later.
I am working on the schedule. You should have the schedule by Thursday at the latest.
Yeah.
Yep, just a few more final touches want to look at before I send them out. One thing, so I will be filling in the score sheets as much as I can. You will need to fill in jersey numbers because the team assessments didn't all have jersey numbers. So please make sure those get filled in prior to each game. In your packet, you will have a team roster as you have in the past. If you just want to fill in the jersey numbers on that and give it to the score table, that's fine. But please, there will be no adding to the bottom of the team roster. Okay. You cannot add in a missing player or anything like that because all these rosters have been entered from the team assessments. If there's an issue, you can call me down or if I'm not down there. But there will be no handwritten in people on the rosters. Okay. Any other questions?
I assume you're going to send out this presentation.
Yep, I'll send out the slides within the next 24-ish hours.
Okay.
Hopefully, I'm planning on doing it tomorrow, Thursday morning at the latest.
All right.
Any other questions?
I have not seen any come in.
Okay. If you have a question that you maybe forgot or didn't think about until later, please go ahead and email me or anything like that. Do not hesitate to reach out. But before Saturday, I just want to thank you guys all for a great season. I think everything has gone really well this season. So a huge thank you to everyone. We couldn't do this without you guys. So, I mean, I may get on you guys about our officials, but you know how protective I am of our officials. But thank you for everything you do for us, for the athletes. We couldn't do this without you guys.
Yeah, I'll echo that sentiment. Knowing with the COVID protocols, the challenges we've had, the dedication that you as coaches have made to your athletes and partners, and to continue and end this season on a very high note. You know, we need your help just to communicate to the families so that everyone is in good spirits and we eliminate as much frustration as we can possibly do. It's definitely not an ideal situation, but it is a situation that we are able to do this and given the protocol. So again, as Anger said, thank you guys so much for your dedication throughout the season, hanging in there with us. Good luck to all, and let's have a great culminating event this coming weekend.
All right. Have a great night, everyone.